In the 1980s, a plague moved through music. It didn't care about chart positions. It took voices, producers, the people behind songs you've been hearing your whole life.
Footsteps of all the houses that walked there before.
And for years, the industry acted like it never happened. We're counting down 10 R&B, soul, and funk legends who died of AIDS.
Not a word from your lips.
Some of these names you know, some of these stories you have never heard, and one of them, We'll Get There, wrote one of the most famous songs about protecting yourself from this disease, and died of it anyway. All 10 of them should be remembered. Let's go. Number 10, Ofra Haza, February 23rd, 2000, age 42. She sang in 17 languages. Her voice reached dance floors from Tel Aviv to London to New York. And when she died in the year 2000, Israel went into mourning, while the hospital would not say out loud what was taking her. Ofra Haza was born in 1957, the youngest of 9 children in a poor Yemenite Jewish neighborhood in Tel Aviv called Hatikva. Her voice was extraordinary from the time she was a child. She placed second at Eurovision in 1983. She sang at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony when Rabin and Arafat were honored in 1994. She voiced a character in The Prince of Egypt. Rolling Stone placed her among the 200 greatest singers of all time, the only Israeli on the list. But here's what connects her to this story.
Like no other in my prayer.
In 1988, UK production duo Cold Cut sampled her voice, her recording of an ancient Yemenite prayer called Im Ninalu, in their remix of Eric B. and Rakim's Paid in Full. That one sample launched her internationally. She was suddenly everywhere, on R&B and dance floors, on MTV, on magazine covers worldwide. And then, in February 2000, she was rushed to a hospital in Tel Aviv. 13 days she was there. Fans held a vigil outside. The hospital said organ failure. And the day after she died, a newspaper broke the silence. Ofra Haza had been living with AIDS. She had hidden her diagnosis even from hospital workers who treated her in the emergency room because she feared exactly what came next: the stigma, the judgment, the way the public would reframe everything she had ever done. Here is the part that stays with me. Her biggest international hit, the one that put her on R&B and dance floors across the world, was a 17th century Jewish prayer. Im Ninalu means if the doors are locked. She sang it with all the faith and longing in her voice. And in her final years, the door she could not open was the one that would have let her be honest about what was taking her life. She was 42 years old. She left behind 27 albums and a voice that had crossed every boundary: language, culture, religion, race. And the lesson her death made plain was one this list will keep returning to. The silence around AIDS did not protect anyone. It only protected the stigma. Number 9, Ron Hardy, March 2, 1992, age 34. Here is what they leave out of the history of black music. Every record that ever pulled you onto a dance floor, every moment where a DJ made a room feel like church, A lot of that traces back to one man in a parking garage basement in Chicago. And his name was Ron Hardy. Hardy was born in 1958 on Chicago's South Side. He started spinning at 19 at a gay club called Den 1. By 1982, he had his residency at the Music Box. No sign outside, no glamour, just a hole-in-the-wall space underneath a downtown parking structure on North Michigan Avenue. And what happened in that room is one of the most important chapters in Black music history that almost nobody tells. He played soul, he played funk, he played disco, he manipulated records at speeds they weren't meant to go. He ran reel-to-reel machines on top of vinyl. He could keep a room going for 72 hours straight. Derek May, one of the founding figures of Detroit techno, drove from Detroit to Chicago every weekend just to watch Ron Hardy play. He said years later that if he had never heard Hardy, he would never have made one record. Marshall Jefferson, Larry Heard, DJ Pierre, all of them debuted their first compositions through Hardy's booth. The night Future's Acid Tracks premiered, the record that created Acid House, Hardy played it 4 times in a row until the floor surrendered to it. Then the Music Box closed in 1987, and Hardy, who had been fighting a heroin addiction that would never fully let him go, never found another room that understood him the way that one had. He kept DJing around Chicago. He entered rehab. He tried to come back, but AIDS had already started taking people he loved, including the club's owner, Michael Brody, who died of AIDS-related complications in 1987. And then it took Hardy himself. He died on March 2nd, 1992. He was 34. He died at his mother's home in Springfield. There was a memorial party in Chicago, and then the world moved on, as if the man who helped create the language of modern dance music had never been there. Derek May said it directly. He was forgotten when he was alive. He's dead and nobody cares. House music wouldn't exist without him and Frankie. Period. If you've ever heard music that moves the way Ron Hardy's room moved, if a dance floor has ever felt like something sacred to you, part of that is his. He just never got to know how far it went. Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 8, Arthur Russell, April 4, 1992, age 40.
I'm in love dancing and swinging.
There are artists who exist between genres, who make something so original that the industry genuinely doesn't know what to do with them.
I'm in love dancing and swinging.
And then they die in obscurity. And 30 years later, the musicians who shape culture are citing them as one of the most important figures of the era. Arthur Russell was born in Iowa in 1951. He moved to New York in the mid-1970s and fell in love with 2 things simultaneously: the avant-garde downtown art world, and the new disco and R&B dance scene blossoming at clubs like the Paradise Garage and the Loft. He played cello. He sang in a soft, quiet tenor. He wrote songs that dissolved genre like sugar and water, simultaneously disco, country, soul, folk, and something that had no name yet.
All over my face, me love dancing.
Under the name Loose Joints, he created Is It All Over My Face, one of the most beloved underground dance tracks of the early 1980s, an anthem at the Paradise Garage and at gay clubs across America. Under Dinosaur L, he made disco records that were strange and gorgeous and ahead of their time. His solo album, World of Echo, cello, voice, and echo effects, is one of the most intimate records ever made. Almost nobody bought it when it came out. He was diagnosed HIV positive shortly after that album was released in 1986. He kept making music. He worked on new projects he never quite finished because finishing was never his strong suit, and because AIDS was taking more of him each year, and because he still believed the music would find its people eventually. He died on April 4th, 1992. He was 40 years old. He died in relative obscurity and poverty, with boxes and boxes of unfinished recordings in his apartment. And here is where it gets strange and wonderful and heartbreaking at once.
I'm in love dancing. It's bringing.
After his death, those recordings were released. One album, then another. Musicians discovered him. The music started reaching the people it had always been meant for. A full tribute album was released specifically to honor his AIDS legacy. The Library of Congress selected his work for preservation. He became, posthumously, one of the most cited figures in the history of music made at the intersection of soul and dance and the avant-garde. He just never got to know.
Is it all?
Number 7. Patrick Cowley, November 12, 1982, age 32. The man who gave Sylvester his biggest records died before most people even knew what AIDS was. If you know Sylvester's music, and we will get there, you know Patrick Cowley's sound without knowing his name. And that is not right. Patrick Cowley was born in 1950 in Buffalo, New York. He moved to San Francisco in the early 1970s and embedded himself in the city's gay nightlife and emerging music scene. He was a musician and producer who helped build the high NRG style of dance music, the synthesizer-driven, driving sound that powered gay clubs in the early 1980s. And his most important creative relationship was with Sylvester James. He co-wrote and produced Do Ya Wanna Funk for Sylvester, one of the defining dance records of 1982. The synthesizer lines, the architecture of the sound, the way energy built and built inside that track, that was Cowley. He was Sylvester's sound architect, his co-writer, his musical right hand. And here is the part that makes this story what it is. Patrick Cowley was already dying of AIDS when they made that record. He died on November 12, 1982, the same year Do Ya Wanna Funk was released. He was 32 years old. This was 1982. There was no official name for AIDS yet. Most Americans had never heard the word. Ronald Reagan had not publicly acknowledged the crisis that was already devastating the communities Patrick Cowley lived and worked in. He was one of the earliest well-known musicians to die of what would come to be called AIDS, before anyone had a framework, a treatment, or a vocabulary for what was taking him. And there's another layer. After Cowley died, recordings emerged that he had made during his hospitalizations, documenting the sounds of his own illness, a musician turning his dying into art. Because what else do you do when music is the only language you have? Patrick Cowley was 32 years old. He left behind a sound that was ahead of its time, a collaborator who would carry his name in every performance, and some of the earliest documented music made during the AIDS crisis. The industry barely noticed he was gone. Number 6. Willie Ninja, September 2nd, 2006, age 45.
It wasn't easy, no 1, 2, 3.
Before Vogue was a Madonna song, it was a black art form. Born in the ballrooms of Harlem, created by black and Latino gay men who had nothing but each other, their style, and the music.
That's what they call Vogue.
And the man who brought that art out of those ballrooms and onto the world stages died of AIDS at 45, without anywhere near the recognition he deserved for what he had given. Willie Ninja, born William Leake in 1961 in Queens, New York, was the godfather of Vogue. He didn't invent the style, but he perfected it and made it a language. He combined martial arts, runway modeling, Olympic gymnastics, and something completely his own into a movement vocabulary that no one had ever seen before. In 1990, the documentary Paris is Burning introduced him to the world. But you need to know something. Janet Jackson had already found him before that. Willie Ninja danced in 2 of her videos from the Rhythm Nation 1814 era, including All Right.
In freeze frame at the ball.
He was one of the living bridges between ballroom and mainstream R&B and pop. When Madonna developed her Vogue video in 1990, she openly credited him as a direct influence. He was the blueprint that everyone else was drawing from. And here's what you need to understand about who he was. He never stopped working. After Paris is Burning, he choreographed, modeled, opened a modeling agency, appeared on America's Next Top Model. He coached Naomi Campbell and Eamon on their walk. He was still going, still creating, still teaching. He was diagnosed HIV positive in 2003. He used the diagnosis as a platform, speaking openly about AIDS in the Black LGBTQ+ community, a community the health system had already been failing for 2 decades.
A long time to learn to feel free, but here I am.
He kept performing, he kept showing up, and on September 2nd, 2006, he died of AIDS-related heart failure at 45 years old. Madonna released a statement. The industry offered condolences, and then the world kept moving.
The steps of all the houses that walk there before.
The House of Ninja still performs at drag balls in his name, still advocates for AIDS awareness. That's what a real legacy looks like. One that keeps doing the work long after the person is gone.
Deep in the city.
Number 5, Fela Kuti, August 2nd, 1997, age 58. He declared his Lagos compound a sovereign republic. He called it the Calacuta Republic.
human beings.
He went to war with the Nigerian military government through music. He was arrested more than 200 times. He married 27 women simultaneously.
To carry me, go pleasing me, oh, not be me they talk.
And in 1997, his own brother, who happened to be one of Africa's most respected public health experts, announced to the world that AIDS had taken him.
Now hear my argument.
Fela Kuti was born in Nigeria in 1938 into an extraordinary family. His mother was a pioneering feminist activist. His father was a minister and musician.
Human rights.
He studied at the Trinity College of Music in London, returned to Nigeria, and spent the rest of his life inventing Afrobeat, a music that fused jazz, funk, R&B, high life, and traditional African rhythms into something that has never been replicated. His music was politically incendiary. Zombie, which mocked the Nigerian military, sold hundreds of thousands of copies. The government's response was to send 1,000 soldiers to the Kalakuta Republic in 1977. They burned it to the ground.
Dash me my property.
They threw his 82-year-old mother out of a second-story window. She died of her injuries a year later. Fela responded by delivering her coffin to the military barracks in a wheelbarrow. That is who this man was. And the particular tragedy of his death is this. He was an AIDS denialist. He believed the Western medical framework around HIV was a government conspiracy. He refused treatment, and so when the virus that had been living in his body, almost certainly contracted in the early 1990s, began to break down his immune system, he was already too committed to that position to seek help.
People say, why are they talk like this? Not be talk like this.
His brother Olukoye, Nigeria's former Minister of Health, announced Fela's death on August 2, 1997. The public had no idea he had been sick.
Talk, don't start again.
He was 58 years old. An estimated 1 million people attended his funeral procession through Lagos. He left behind more than 70 albums. James Brown is often called the godfather of funk. Fela Kuti was the king of an entire continent's version of that same impulse. The music of black resistance and black joy and black defiance. And AIDS took him before the world had fully reckoned with what it had.
Talk to human beings.
Number 4, Kenny Greene, October 1st, 2001, age 32. If I asked you who wrote Reminisce, who wrote Love No Limit, who gave Mary J. Blige's debut album its emotional center, you might not know his name. Kenny Greene was the man behind some of the most important R&B of the 1990s. And when he died of AIDS at 32, almost nobody outside the industry noticed. Greene was born in Detroit in 1969, grew up in a gospel household, joined the Army at 18, and met his future bandmates while stationed in South Carolina. They formed a group called Intro, Innovative New Talent Reaching Out, and signed to Atlantic Records in 1993. Their debut single, Come Inside, went to number 9 on the R&B chart.
Baby, just imagine I can do anything.
Their sound was the moment. Smooth, soulful harmonies over hard production, New Jack Swing transitioning into something softer and deeper. But Kenny Greene was more than a singer.
I wanna come inside. I like
He wrote and produced nearly every track on their debut album, and he also co-wrote songs for a young Mary J. Blige, Reminisce, and Love No Limit from What's the 411. For that work, he tied with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis for ASCAP's R&B Songwriter of the Year award in 1993.
Hear you call my name. Slowly.
Think about who that beat out. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, two of the greatest producers in the history of this music. That's how good this man was. In 2001, a month before he died, Greene gave an interview to Sister to Sister magazine. He told them he was bisexual. He told them he had AIDS, contracted from a male partner.
No, you won't forget, no, baby. Slowly.
He described how a swollen growth in his foot, later diagnosed as Kaposi's sarcoma, an AIDS-related cancer, had been the first sign that something was wrong. He had waited too long to go to the hospital. He wanted people to know. He said clearly, "Protect yourself."
I'll give it to you, darling. Only if you promise me.
He died on October 1st, 2001, 2 weeks after September 11th. His death received almost no media coverage, and his family, reportedly because of the stigma around his sexuality and his illness, did not attend his funeral.
I'll give it to you, baby. Only if you promise me.
His bandmate Buddy White was there. His studio friends were there. He was buried with military honors at Calverton National Cemetery on Long Island.
I'll keep satisfied.
You know the songs. You know what Mary J. Blige's voice felt like on those early records. You know what it was to hear "Come Inside" for the first time, alone in your room, or at a party, or in a car with someone you loved. Part of that was Kenny Greene. Number 3, Jermaine Stewart, March 17th, 1997, age 39. We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time. You know that song. You've heard it at cookouts, at house parties, on throwback radio. It was a top 10 hit in 1986. Catchy, danceable, irresistibly cheerful, and explicitly about safe sex in the age of AIDS. And the man who sang it died of AIDS-related liver cancer 11 years later, at 39, buried for a time in an unmarked grave. Jermaine Stewart was born in Columbus, Ohio, in 1957. He grew up in Chicago, started dancing on Soul Train in the late 1970s, becoming close friends with Jody Watley and Jeffrey Daniel. He didn't get the lead role in Shalimar, but while on tour with them in London, he met Mikey Craig of Culture Club. Craig helped him put together a demo. He was signed to Arista Records. His 1986 album Frantic Romantic contained We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off, which went to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and hit the top 10 in the UK, Canada, and Ireland. The song was an explicit musical response to the AIDS crisis. He sang it with warmth, almost with joy, as if protection could feel like freedom rather than fear. It worked. The song was everywhere. But here's what the song doesn't tell you. Jermaine Stewart was gay. He spoke about it openly, not theatrically, not as a performance, just honestly. He was one of the first openly gay artists in R&B, and he was navigating the same epidemic his biggest hit was about, quietly, for years.
Take my hand, let's hit the floor, shake your body to the...
He kept making music through the late 80s and early 90s. In 1997, he died. At some point, he was buried in an unmarked grave before a fan eventually paid for a headstone. The man who made one of the most hopeful, most humane songs about the AIDS crisis had almost no one with him at the end, and no grave marker with his name on it for a period of time. Some of you just sat up a little straighter. I know, because the irony is almost unbearable. He sang that song because he believed something. He believed protection was possible. He believed dignity was possible. And the world let him down in the same way it was letting down so many others, with silence, with shame, with a closed door where there should have been a hand reaching in. Rest in peace, Jermaine. Number 2, Bobby DeBarge, August 16th, 1995, age 39. You know the DeBarge sound, rhythm of the night, all this love. That silky, honeyed, Motown-influenced family harmony that ruled the early 1980s. But before any of that, before Elle, before Bunny, before any of the children you grew up with, there was Bobby. And Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown, called him the most talented artist he had ever signed to his label. Robert Louis DeBarge Jr. was born in Detroit in 1956, the oldest son of a large biracial family, navigating a childhood marked by his father's alcoholism and abuse. He was a piano prodigy, a songwriter, a vocalist with a falsetto so fine it could pierce you. In the late 1970s, he formed a group called Switch with his brother Tommy and several other musicians. Signed to Motown's Gordy imprint and hit number 1 on the R&B chart with There'll Never Be. Then he left Switch and turned his full attention to his younger siblings. He co-produced the DeBarge debut album. He co-wrote songs with Elle that became hits. He was the architect behind that entire sound, the unseen genius whose fingerprints are on everything you love about that family's music. By 1987, he had joined the group officially to sing on their final album, Bad Boys. And then his career stopped, because in 1988, he was arrested on drug trafficking charges and sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Before he went in, Bobby DeBarge told his family that he had contracted HIV, almost certainly through his heroin addiction. He served 4 years. He was released in 1993. His health was already deteriorating rapidly. He tried to record. He finished a last album, It's Not Over, and released it in August 1995 on an independent label. Bobby DeBarge died on August 16, 1995, 2 weeks after that album came out. He was 39 years old. He died in a hospice in Grand Rapids, Michigan. A biopic finally aired on TV One in 2019, 24 years after his death, telling this story to the audience that had always deserved to know it. And as tribute, TV One's show Unsung had documented Switch years earlier, but the full Bobby DeBarge story took even longer to reach people. The most talented artist Berry Gordy ever signed, dying at 39, 2 weeks after his last record, in a hospice. If you've never heard Switch, if you've never heard There'll Never Be, stop after this video and find it, because that voice, that talent, that musicality deserve decades more. Number 1. Sylvester James, December 16th, 1988, age 41. You know this voice. You might not know his name. But if you've ever heard "You Make Me Feel Mighty Real," if that falsetto has ever found you somewhere deep, somewhere that feels like gospel and disco and pure human joy all at once, then you already know what Sylvester James gave the world. Before you finish this video, I need you to know who was singing it. Sylvester James was born in Watts, Los Angeles in 1947. He grew up singing in a Pentecostal church, left when the congregation rejected his homosexuality, and found his way to San Francisco in 1970. He was unapologetically, joyfully himself, at a time and in a country that had almost no framework for what he was. He performed with the Cockettes, an avant-garde drag troupe. He sang in gay bars in the Castro. He developed a falsetto so powerful, so free, that it could fill a cathedral and still feel like a whisper meant just for you. In 1978, he released the album Step 2 and changed everything. Dance, Disco Heat, and You Make Me Feel Mighty Real both went gold. Both topped the dance charts in the US and across Europe. In March of 1979, Mayor Dianne Feinstein gave him the key to San Francisco. They declared it Sylvester Day. He was 31 years old, openly gay, openly feminine, openly himself, and audiences loved him for exactly what he was. By the mid-1980s, Sylvester knew what was happening around him. He watched the Castro, his neighborhood, his community, the place that had become home, lose person after person. He watched Patrick Cowley die in 1982. He watched the government stay silent year after year. He kept making music. But by 1987, he had been diagnosed with AIDS, and he made a decision that very few public figures in his position made. He was open about it. He gave interviews. He talked about what the disease was doing to his community. He went to AIDS benefits. He appeared in public as his body changed, as the disease required more and more of him. In the summer of 1988, he attended San Francisco's Gay Freedom Parade in a wheelchair because he wanted to be there, because his people needed to see him, because showing up was a form of resistance.
Y'all come on and help me, girls.
The crowds lining the street recognized him and chanted his name as he passed. Later that year, the Castro Street Fair was named a tribute to Sylvester. He was too ill to attend, but the crowds were so loud that he heard them from his bedroom window. He planned his own funeral. He specified a red kimono, an open casket, choirs and flowers and full ceremony. He requested that his friend Jeannie Tracy sing, and he bequeathed his future music royalties, every dollar his songs would ever earn in perpetuity, to 2 AIDS charities, the AIDS Emergency Fund and Project Open Hand. He died on December 16, 1988. He was 41 years old. The church was packed, standing room only. His coffin was taken afterward to his family's plot in Inglewood Park Cemetery. In 2019, 31 years after his death, You Make Me Feel Mighty Real was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Recording Registry, recognized as culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. They finally said it in writing. They just made the world wait 3 decades to hear it.